It's an extremely hot day. A track thermometer reads 42 degrees. In a car without air conditioning, these 42 feel like 60. After we can't keep up sweating, we pour water over our heads, which makes the whole thing bearable. Francisco comes up with the idea, instead of resisting the heat, to fully embrace it. So we close the windows and take off our clothes. The sweat burns in my eyes. The windows fog up. Like in a sauna on 4 wheels, we glide over the asphalt, which heats the car from below like a stove. At the beginning it was kind of funny, but the situation we find ourselves in has become a real torture, and I'm wondering whether we shouldn't drive back into the shadow of the mountains. There's no going back now, he shouts, his head bright red, his hands in front of his face. I see him struggling to breathe, repeatedly making strange noises. What have we gotten ourselves into? Now that we're in this situation, wishing to escape ourselves, it is time for us to face our fears. Because only those who are without fear are ready to live in freedom. So what are you afraid of? He shouts at me. I wonder what on earth is going on. What are you afraid of? He shouts and scares me so hard I almost drive the car into the rails. Because as a teenager I was advised to choose a password for my email account that could not in any way be associated with my personality, it seemed like a good idea to me to use the Hitler salute as a password. A friend saw me typing it in, and to this day I'm afraid he might be thinking that I was a fucking Nazi. What else? Because of my sweaty hands, I didn't want to accompany my ex-girlfriend to dance class. She went dancing with a friend of mine instead. To this day, I blame my complex for the end of our relationship. Go on! I feel sick whenever I remember reading out loud at school, the shortness of breath that I had whenever it was my turn again. And what are you afraid of? Spiders. I can't fucking stand them. And then the unthinkable happens. Like a prophecy of doom, those words flash on a traffic display under which we shoot through close to unconsciousness. Traffic jam in 5 kilometers. I briefly play with the idea of turning around and accepting the wrong way driver report, together with a visit to the traffic psychologist. Then the idea comes to me to drive the 20 kilometers in reverse gear back to the gas station, which now seems like a cool island, an oasis to me. Given the physical condition we are in, we cannot afford to be stuck in traffic. He rolls down the window, stretching his head out to take in the last wind, to escape the forthcoming collapse, but there they are, the brake lights of those waiting, snaking across the asphalt like red threads in the shimmer of the heat. We panic. Luckily we poured the water which would keep us from dehydrating over our heads. There are only a few sips left, which we divide up meticulously. Our eyes fall on the bag with the melon. He reaches for the bag so desperately, he rips off the side mirror that was attached with tape, and when it falls onto the street, my last hope of surviving the situation dies with the sound of the shards. The right rear wheel hits the melon, and again I am struggling to keep the car under control. I immediately hit the brakes, so this time it's his face that slams against the windshield. Get it, get the bag with the melon. I croak and turn onto the emergency lane. While honking cars roll past us, he runs back to pick up the dripping cloth bag, and back in the car we pounce on it like 2 pigs. After we have gnawed the shattered melon down to the last piece, we join the column, and then it begins, the waiting. One can hear the brakes of the cars catching up. I look at him sitting there, leaned back with his eyes closed, mumbling something to himself. An hour later, we are still in the exact same spot. I can't take it anymore, he whispers in a whiny voice. Out of the corner of my eye, I see him looking for something. Having found the pickle jar, he unscrews it and takes a courageous sip, then holds it towards me, coughing and choking. I grab a pickle. He gives me a comatose look, opens the door and disappears into the sweltering heat, the jar under his arm. I lean back into the seat and close my eyes. I see a woman on a motorcycle approaching me from a distance. It's Europe. Take this flag to Venice, the true capital of this continent. At dawn we will meet at the roof of the big parking garage at Piazzale Roma. And don't forget, it is people like you, people who don't believe every nonsense, who are critical of themselves and the society, and at the same time don't believe the Queen of England to be a lizard. People who know that this money and how it works was invented by humans. People who don't judge each other based on beliefs, looks, or wealth. People from all over the world who follow their dreams and work hard for them. Whether gay, lesbian, or straight, these people are my future. And now wake up. Wake up! Francisco screams, leaning over me. The sun is low. The honking traffic is gradually passing us by. I have rarely seen a sunburn like my friend's, together with that all too familiar grin on his face. He spent his time with a very nice Italian family in their fully air-conditioned van a few kilometers further ahead, after they dragged him into the car, preventing him from a heat stroke. Equipped with a bunch of bananas and 2 liters of mineral water, he sits next to me and is happy he didn't die. What a crazy dream, I think to myself, as I am struggling to get back into the traffic. I want to make sure I remember everything. Even though she was physically completely destroyed, her eyes were clear and healthy. It was not hope that shone out of them, but rather a certainty that man would awaken from a global illusion, and thus a new era would begin. Many secrets would be revealed, and there would be clarity about a world in which a piece of theater was played that was beyond good and evil. Happily, he plays the harmonica. I was worried I would not see him again after he rushed out the door in his madness. The cross he threw out onto the field next to the highway after neither Christ nor Jehovah answered his prayers. Everything we are looking for we find within ourselves. That has been confirmed once again. Aware that he was the only Messiah he would accept in his life, he smears the aftersun on his face, which was another gift the mother of the family had given him. The heat has disappeared and the mild air blows through the car. After this time of waiting, we are now driving towards the sunset with a Goa tape hammering out of the speakers. I tell him about my dream, and he vows to freak out if this parking garage at Piazzale Roma actually exists. The moon shines brightly. It is starry again. Francisco seems to be sleeping, and I maneuver the car towards southwest. The landscape flying by triggers deep relaxation in me. While we were surrounded by other cars during the day, we are now alone. I may be a romantic fool, but no one can take away my idea of a better world. The return of the freaks and hippies, the birth of the modern romantics, the hackers as activists and the whistleblowers as our heroes. A time will come that will change this continent and life on it forever. People will no longer define themselves based on their origins, but rather by the path they take. In today's world, it is becoming increasingly clear that the well-being of an individual is responsible for the well-being of a collective, and that the attempt to rule over people will always remain nothing but a perverse attempt. A gas station comes in handy for us. I feel like getting some sweets, and we are almost out of gas again. These gas stations with the floodlights are the havens of peace on this continent. Here the stressed European is still moving at a normal pace. I put the nozzle in the car and the fuel flows through the hose. The numbers on the gas pump are counting up and I stretch my middle finger towards it. As I'm cleaning the windshield, I hear something approaching us. Turning my head to the side, I see a black luxury car rolling across the parking lot in slow motion. The door opens and the perfect man appears. It's about midnight and he's wearing his sunglasses. He tucked his shirt into his pants, which probably costs more than our car. Ciao bello, I greet him. He just looks at me as if I had a piece of shit stuck to my face. I want to hug him, want to reassure him that he doesn't have to worry about us. With my hands full of snacks, I stand behind him at the checkout. He paid for a mild mineral water and a chewing gum with a €100 bill that he had pulled out of a roll. He doesn't say a word, this wonderful person. I throw the loot onto the back seat and rev the engine. I set off at full throttle and speed towards the motorway entrance just to quickly get away from this aura that surrounds him like a cold veil. I wonder who this guy thinks he is. For God's sake, you don't have to become someone to be someone. The society with its boxes is driving me crazy. Ultimately, every person is on the search for themselves, and because we have forgotten the difference between thought and reality, we will not find ourselves. Define yourself, the advertisement screams. What do you want to become when you grow up?